Hello, 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 and welcome to Barely Hoops. Emmet Ryan here from Ball in Europe, our podcast, which is just about basketball. Well, we have a man here today who knows basketball both in the real and virtual worlds. I suppose the physical and virtual worlds, because the virtual world can be real to a lot of people. He is quite well known to an awful lot of you online, but he also can ball pretty well himself. Mick Curley, welcome to Barely Hoops.
How are you? Nice having me on.
So, Mick, for a few of our people tuning in, like they obviously, well, for a few, I mean, quite a lot of them, even though I know a lot of your own followers will probably check this out. You did play quite a lot of basketball when you're back playing. We're going to ask you a bit about that, but explain what you do, as in why, sort of, in this virtual space, you're so well known.
So I about a decade ago started making NBA 2K videos. Um, then probably around 2017, it kind of went from a couple of hundred views a day to 50,000 views a day in about 3 months. So it went from like, and this is while I'm in college studying to be a teacher. It went from just a hobby to making more money than a teacher in 2 months while I was in second year of college. And then had a basketball channel, B-Ball Daily, which got to 100,000 subscribers. That channel ended up being like that was kind of one of the first kind of big basketball channels on the platform. And then kind of stopped that during the pandemic because the game and stuff boomed, obviously. And with the massive decline in NBA 2K the last couple of years, was planning on going back to teaching and then was like, you know what, I'll give it one more shot. Started making videos on a basketball channel, Mick Talks Hoops. It was mainly about NBA stuff, put in the occasional WNBA video. The WNBA videos did better, and now that's entirely a WNBA channel. So I went from being a 2K YouTuber to a normal basketball YouTuber, back to a 2K YouTuber, and now I am a WNBA YouTuber. So I seem to be a cockroach on the YouTube platform. Like no matter what way they try to like kill the YouTube career, I just find a way to bounce back. But touch wood, that just keeps happening whenever the WNBA stuff eventually starts to fail to fade.
Like, I want to bring you back to the start though, because obviously, you're a Dub, you grew up in Dublin. Like, how did you even get into basketball itself to begin with?
So I was like really tall at a young age, and like from like 5 or 6, and they used to have those like mini hoops in primary school,
Oh yeah.
and I used to just in PE I would just dunk it on people. I would just dunk on people, and then went down to play with Tulker Rovers, which is close to where I was from, and played there for maybe 8 or 9 years. And yeah, that was kind of the start of it. Like I played every sport. Like I played everything imaginable. Basketball was just the one I preferred.
And like, yeah, because I'm thinking like of all the times we dunking people in primary school, that just must have been fairly tough on those kids.
Yeah.
You know? Like I'm guessing you enjoyed that though.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot less fun when I was like 7 years old, but the height of a 10-year-old, and in Talca they were putting me on the full rims and I couldn't reach the rim. That was a lot less fun at the start.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's like, crazy growth spurts because you're still a pretty tall dude now, by the way, folks. It's because we have chatted to people before on various Ball in Europe content where they peaked at like 11 height wise, so they were made to play center like Jess Devine from Shamrock's Yoga is 5'10", which is a fairly good height. Don't get me wrong, but like when you're hitting 5'10" at 11, it's like right, you're our center. And Jess stayed 5'10" and has worked slowly back down the court, so to speak, ever since. I'm guessing it was a bit different for yourself.
I mean, no, it was very similar. I played center at 6'1". I stopped growing at 13, but like I made an under 16s Irish team as a center.
Oh wow, because like I've always thought of
Yeah.
you as like sort of a swingman sized player, like so I didn't realize that.
No, I played center, and then that's the reason why it was the last Irish team I ever made was under 16s. It was like I got progressively worse as the years went on.
So because we are going to talk a bit more about your playing now, but like, at what position would you say you are now, like height wise and all that? Like,
Uh, I have no idea. Whatever position a team's weak in.
that's a very good answer. Like coaches love that. It's like I can be undersized or oversized depending on where you need. I love it. So basketball was a pretty, I say, straightforward journey. Obviously, it was the classic height peak, and then oh well, that's going to be a thing. Jarlath Regan, the comedian, can definitely empathize in that one as well. By the way, he's basically identical journey to you in terms of the height and the suddenly. Well, now I'm a point guard, having been a center. So for very natural reasons with Jarlath. But gaming, I'm guessing you got into it the same way every kid did. All your mates are playing games. You decided to play games.
Yeah, that's that was pretty much it. Yeah, and then honestly, when it came to the YouTube thing, I stupidly, well, not stupidly, but at the time I thought stupidly, was so stressed for leaving cert that I was offered kind of a full-time job after leaving cert for the rest of the summer to make some money. And I was like, no, I said no during while I was doing the exams, and it's within 2 days of finishing, I'm like, I'm incredibly bored. So I was like, at that time I was playing a lot of 2K, so I was like, let's just make YouTube videos, at least be productive rather than just sitting there at home playing 2K all day.
So like yeah, I say you were like 18, like by normal human standards, that's a normal age to start doing stuff like this. By the way, sort of gaming content creators are that's reasonably sort of mature and developed, you might say, to get started. So how did you go? But you before you even doing the videos, you got to a pretty high level competitively first, which I think is one thing we're kind of overlooking. Like you were one of the best 2K players on the planet, right?
Yeah, like I got a lot, in fairness, I got a lot better at the start of when I was playing, and I got really good over the pandemic, obviously, because it was at home. But um, but yeah, I'd play 2K and I'd win 9 out of 10 games. Um, just playing the game for fun. So I was like, was pretty good. I'd say like I'd regularly go on maybe 30, 40 game win streaks and not think anything of it because I'm like, I was just playing the game and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. But I didn't, that wasn't the logic for me making videos, to be honest. I just happened to be good at a game. And to be honest, 2K is the only game I'm good at. I'm terrible at every other video game. I'm not one of those prodigies that no matter what you give them a controller, they're good at it. No, I'm terrible at every game that's not 2K.
Does it help that you're a decent level basketball player? I would say good, but I know all ballers always try and lower the levels they consider themselves. Do you think it helped at all that you're a good basketball player, or did that have a factor at all?
Yep. Yeah. It it does because the principles are the same.
Mm.
Realistically, the principles of video game 2K and principles of basketball are very similar. If you get more high quality looks, you're probably going to win a game of 2K. You're probably going to win a game in real life over the course of a game. And it's just things where there's basketball things that can completely throw people off a game. Like you have to anticipate where they're going. And while it's not the same, you kind of have to do the same in basketball. Whether you're playing off the ball and help defense, you got to anticipate what your player's going to do, whether they're going to cut, whether they're going to relocate. You have to anticipate if you've got someone on the other team that's a black hole, you know you can overhelp off your player. Things like that in 2K, where it's like if you know someone's weak when they pass the ball weak, they're not good at seeing the other five players, you can go and throw double teams at them. So it's a lot of kind of similar principles tactically, even though the outcome is different. Like in 2K, you're going, like the tactic is you're looking for a 30-foot three-pointer. So you have to kind of adjust your defense to that. Whereas in actual basketball, you adjust your defense based on what you want to, well, a shot you don't want your other team to shoot. And on offense, you try to get a good shot. So like it's similar enough principles and a lot of stuff like being able to spot plays because a lot of people that don't play 2K or don't play basketball, they'll just spam one play over and over again because it works against the CPU because the AI can't read it. And it'll work against bad players because you don't know how to guard it. Whereas obviously from playing basketball, you know, okay, throw a different look. This play I'm going to blitz. This time I'm going to blitz the play. This time I'm going to deny. I'm going to try get in the lane for the pass. This time I'm going to blitz the screen so that they can't throw the pass. So yeah, a lot of similar things to basketball.
That's great because I hadn't even thought about it that way. But one thing you got me thinking of is it has become easier for me over the years because like we had first met when you were like 20, so like you're talking like eight years ago, I think nearly now, or maybe a little bit before that, after that. But we met like about 5, 6 years ago for the first time, and it was much harder for me to explain to sort of the regular Joe then, the comparative, nature of what is good in video games because in basketball, I can say like well like. Mick's obviously better than me, like, you know what I mean? But explaining why, the difference between Mick being better than me and Luka Doncic being better than me, very easy. Doing the 2K equivalents, I bet there's a difference between Luka being better than Mick as well. No offense, Mick, but I think Luka's got a few, bits
Oh,
of talent on you. But explaining the equivalent of that in 2K was much harder, or in gaming and FIFA, EA games, the FC games, explaining that, like, well, yeah, I can beat up my pals in EA, FC, whatever, 25, 26 it is now. That's one thing. But then, I meet the Mick equivalent, in FC 24, FC 25. And what they would do to me is what Luke would do to Mick, basically. And that was much harder a story, I think, to explain. Do you think it's easier for people to understand now the level of talent there is in competitive gaming?
I don't until they are playing online and they accidentally match up against one of these people.
Oh, excellent.
Because like it's one of those things where if you've ever played basketball and you've played pickup against someone that's a much higher level, and you obviously you've seen them play and you're like, okay, they don't look that great on the TV, and you play against them and it feels like they're playing a different sport. You're like a half a second behind, and this in every sport. If you're playing to be way better than you, it feels like they're playing a different sport. Like if you play in whether it be 2K or FIFA against one of the pro players, top players, you will feel like you have never known how to play 2K. You will try to throw a pass from your point guard to your two guard, and it's getting stolen 10 times out of 10. And they're going to throw, and if it doesn't get stolen, they're going to throw themselves out of position. You're going to feel wide open with your shooting guard. You're going to see, oh yeah, I'm open. Let me shoot the ball. And somehow they switched another player on. They blocked the shot. Like you could lose 150 to 10, which
Oh
is
yeah,
probably what would happen if a bunch of me's came up against a
bunch of
um
me's basically.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's because like but it's a great argument like because it's that standard is so different. So like you were doing that, you started making the YouTube videos to bring you back to that pandemic. So things started to pick up. Tell us how they started picking up basically after that leaving cert summer. Sorry.
Yeah, so for the first couple of years, nothing. Absolutely nothing. 25th, for the first maybe 2 years was very little. And then like I'm not gonna lie, like I've never been one to spend money on video games. And I noticed when it came to 2K content that everyone was just spending money. It was all just who can spend the most money and get the best cards. So I basically was the cheap channel. Like I would every card that was cheap in the game, every player that was cheap, I was kind of showcasing like how to basically play the game on a budget. And it kind of took off from there. And like I had some good years, some down years. Like 2018 was a pretty rough year. 2019, I think was when we first met. That was my first kind of really good year when I hit 100K on both channels. And then obviously in the pandemic, by that time I kind of built it up myself up to one of the maybe four or five biggest creators on the game. But I was also the person who had the biggest output, so I uploaded the most. And then when the pandemic hit, there's an influx of a million extra players and a million potential extra viewers for people interested in it. Because my output was the biggest, suddenly it's gone from okay, I'm averaging everybody's views say went up double, but or maybe triple. But like let's say I'd upload 5 videos a day and they get 10,000.
Yeah,
That's 50,000. But I'm uploading 5 videos a day and they're tripling. Suddenly it's 150,000 a day, which is was kind of unheard of at the time. And then obviously once people started getting back into life stuff,
life. I was gonna say yeah.
yeah, it kind of went down, and which is why I've kind of stepped away from 2K. And the game itself is just it's nearly impossible to play. Like I've talked to some people that are spending six figures on the game and a
That is
year, and
insane.
they still can't get every card.
But I think because like, one of the things I've loved about you on sort of socials is you are not shy in giving your views on sort of the way 2K is so much pay to play after you've bought the game. Like you are pretty open, and particularly when it comes to the young people. Like, is that just you being you, or do you feel it's something you ought to talk about? Like,
For better or for worse, I don't really have much of a filter. When it comes to online stuff, it's probably a big reason for why I've developed the following I have over the years, but it's also a huge reason why I am seen as a major brand risk. So there's positives and negatives to that. But for me, more so, it's not even the pay to play. Like I think if you're paying money and you know what you're getting, like I can be annoyed by it, but I'm not that ethically against it. Like they're offering a product. But for me, it's just the fact that it's essentially gamble to win. Like you don't know what you're gonna get. Like you have to spend all this money. But like hypothetically, if you have perfect luck, you could get every single card in the game for €500 over the course of the year. You could have the worst luck in the world and you could spend 300 grand and not get anyone. So
oof.
that's kind of where it is, where it's like it's a game 3 plus. Kids are supposed to play this game, are supposed to be able to play this game, and every single thing in the game is kind of pushing you towards gambling.
Yeah, I'm not wild about that. Although oddly, I want to, because of course you mentioned the kids part, you were going down the route of being a teacher. So I want to ask you about sort of what even drove you towards that, and because I understand you did qualify, didn't you, in the end?
Yeah, yeah,
So
finished.
what even drove you towards teaching as being a thing you'd consider doing?
I had no idea what I wanted to do after the leaving cert. I liked coaching. I liked maths. Um, so I was like, I'll give teaching a go. I'll give PE and maths teaching a go. Um, didn't mind it. I didn't mind at any time I was on placement. Had YouTube not been a thing, I think I gladly would have done it. But yeah, I'd rather be doing what I'm doing now, to be honest.
Was there ever a case in placement where a kid like sort of recognized the voice at all from the YouTube or anything like that?
Oh, I'd say two of the three placements I did, every kid in the school knew who I was within a day.
Oh wow! I
And
know
the
did that.
worst was I was teaching in, I'm not going to give it a school, but I was teaching in a private school in town. And I had maybe 2,000 subscribers and I hadn't like on the channel. And it just happened that one of the 2,000 subscribers was a first year.
Oh.
And thankfully, it took until the week I was leaving before every person in school knew. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Because that is one of the things that you don't want, like, because that's a different job. Like, you don't want your YouTube isn't your entire life; it is your work. And I'm going to ask you about it as your work, because you've mentioned you've reinvented a few times. So, you started off with sort of the 2K and the B-Ball daily content, then you pivoted a bit. So tell us about the way you've adjusted over the years and how you ended up being such a WNBA YouTuber.
Yeah, like, um, I'm not gonna lie, 2024 was kind of the year where I thought it was over. I thought it was over from like say maybe September 2023 to when I say 2024, I mean the 2K24 game cycle. I thought it was over. Like 2K was dead. My channel wasn't doing great. And was still making around teacher money, but the all the trends were going downwards.
Yeah.
And I just started off the Mick Talks Hoops as like a second channel because I'm like, I need some form of extra income. And on that channel, I was kind of it was the NBA playoffs, so I was talking about the playoffs. I was doing a bunch of things, but it was also kind of around the time where Caitlin Clark's draft was had happened, and I'm trying to find the exact video, but most of the videos got say between 1 and 2K. They were doing okay. Like 1 and 2K while spamming 5 videos a day on a brand new channel is really good,
Oh yeah.
especially because I didn't really advertise it anywhere else. Like that's kind of trajectory to make good side money on beside the 2K thing and kind of keep it going. And I made a video titled "Caitlin Clark is ready for the WNBA," and that video got 20 something thousand views.
With like no
Um,
push or anything like that, new channel. That's
yeah,
really, really, really fantastic.
yeah, and I was still making NBA stuff, and I think I went away. I went away on a trip with my parents, with my family to Nice, and we were gone to Monaco for the day. So I pre-recorded about 5 videos, and they were all 5 of them were WNBA videos, and uploading them kind of 90 minutes apart while we were gone. And I wasn't checking the analytics, and I just looked at my phone, and it was like 12,000 real-time views in the last hour. I'm like, what's happening? 3 of the 5 videos hit 30,000 views within 5 hours, and I'm like, okay, this is my most viewed video in about or most viewed day in about 2 years. So 2K, you're going to decide I'm going to run with this, and it obviously has done well.
Yeah, so well, but I also one of the things I've noticed from like seeing your WNBA content is you really, really enjoy it. But obviously, probably I'm guessing it's a change to your sleep schedule. So like you started off as a thing you figured you might do. You seem to really actually enjoy watching the Ws. So like what's it been like for you, sort of becoming more interested in this league because it is kind of a job for you now.
Yeah, it's good. And look, when it comes to YouTube, it's very obvious if you look at some of my 2K stuff when I kind of packed it in and didn't like playing 2K. Like when I'm enjoying watching something or I'm enjoying covering something, I cover more. I do a better job of it in terms of actually giving opinions. Whether you love them or hate them, you can hate every word I say, but it's going to be you're probably somewhere in between loving or absolutely despising me at this point in time, and it's always been the case. Because at the end of the day, I'm just giving my opinion, and I couldn't care less about trying to keep people that don't agree with me happy.
And
But with that league, like I've always said this, look, I grew up watching Talk Rovers men's and women's National League basketball teams. Like the highest level I played at was Super League, and people were like, "Oh, how can you watch the WNBA if they're talking about the level?" It's not that much different than watching a Super League game.
Yeah,
Like I,
it's
that's like the level of basketball I grew up with. Like there was no basketball on TV. That's the level. Like those Tulker Rovers men's players back in the day, like Bernard Walsh and Owen Quill, like they were my heroes growing up. It wasn't LeBron James, it wasn't Kobe. So like I've grown up watching basketball that's a lower level than what I'm watching in the WNBA. So I enjoy it. Sport is sport. It's fun.
no, no. It was more a case of like because for you it was like sort of you were so used to the Irish stuff, you were so used to the NBA. Here's a league you sort of you watched a bit, but I'm guessing you wasn't dedicated to the WNBA. And now you've really gone all in, like in terms of the love. I'm liking the love is what I'm saying, like so.
Oh yeah. I don't know, like it's a good league to well, it's on during the summer. There's nothing else really going on and there's fun games to watch. Slightly less fun to watch games now that Caitlin Clark's been injured for the entire year, but and nobody's really kind of taken over as enjoyable to watch since she's gone. So it's been kind of rough in that regard, but I don't know. It'll be a bit of fun for a
And
while. Long may it continue.
I want to get back to the physical court for a second here because last year was your first coaching job, was it at the National League level?
Yeah, the last previous two seasons, I was assistant coach for Malahide
Yeah,
National
so
League.
you've been assistant coach at so for people who don't know, that's a second tier in Ireland, so pretty serious level of basketball. Like you're there with Kev Foley, and like Malahide, like you got like some serious players. Like I know Ramon, like playing for you all last year. I think he's back with you this year. And like for you, what was it like getting into that aspect? Because again, you had like I know you still played a bit, but your main focus in your life was on sort of the digital side of basketball, and now you get to be back sort of on a sideline. Like what was it like for you getting back into coaching?
Yeah, it was good. And to be honest, like the reason why I did it was I was essentially told I was never going to play again. Um, I just come back off an Achilles tear and a blood clot in my lung and some pretty bad lung damage. So I had doctors telling me, not telling me I couldn't play, but advising me not to play. And um, 2 years ago, I was just like, you know what, I kind of want to still be around. So I was around Malahide the last couple of years, and yeah, enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. It's just we were one spot off the playoffs 2 years in a row, which can be a bit frustrating. But like with the budget that we had compared to other teams, I don't think we could have expected much more. Like we didn't have an American for 5 games last year, and I got best Irish player Sean Fitzpatrick was injured for a lot of the year as well. So I was happy with how he got on. And yeah, it's just to be honest, out of kind of stubbornness more so than anything, and just some weird refusal to listen to doctors that I was done. It's at that stage now where I somehow feel like I'm back in shape to play. So,
So like
so
yeah, because you're telling me off. You've lost quite a lot of weight. Like on a because obviously his audio was like Mick was I'd hardly call him big if you know what I mean. He's not my size, folks. Most people know how big I am. Like he was normal sized dude of 28 considering his height. You've lost a load of weight and you're back in shape. So like what sort of was it just basically sort of the damn it I want to play part or what was it that made you get going?
it was kind of a like because I had pneumonia twice over last Christmas as well, and with the scarring in my lung from the clot, that obviously became like a big concern. So I went through like loads of tests and everything and was on steroids for about 2 months and kind of because of as much as anything because of the steroids and also if I was being pumped up on, I kind of got to a weight that was so far above what I ever wanted to be at. So I was like, okay, just for health reasons, I need to get back down to something normal. And then obviously playing a lot of pickup over the summer, realizing that okay, my lungs are feeling a bit better. And progressively was like, okay, yeah, getting back a little bit more into shape. You know what? Basketball's fun again when I'm not struggling, gasping for air after running up and down once and start playing 3 times a week. Then my legs start getting better. So yeah, it's just one of those things where look, the reality is I'm probably going to sit out the season, but I'm probably not going to play this year. But it's just this weird, probably delusional thing that it's like I just don't want to listen when people say I'm done.
I gotta ask because like obviously sort of I had avoided it for most of the show because I didn't know how much you wanted to talk about the health stuff, but you brought it up a fair bit. But So you had pneumonia twice, a blood clot in the lung, and I just be clear if I was like, like I know Mick to see, like he's a dude who walks around like a normal, healthy person. This is not someone you expect to get everything, essentially. So tell us all about like that whole process because it must have been terrifying for your family and all that, like, you know?
Yeah, it didn't help when that I was high on morphine, tweeting out that I might die. That didn't help.
Sorry, what?
Oh yeah, I was high on morphine and I tweeted out that I might die in the
I
hospital.
totally missed that. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. I hadn't
Wow.
slept in about 3 days, and I was being pumped with morphine, and they didn't take my phone off me.
Okay, that was pretty dumb of them actually. They should have taken the phone off you.
Yeah.
Like, and so yeah, so you're tweeting it out like and was it just did it come on all suddenly like or what like?
Yeah. So obviously, like it had come from like I snapped my Achilles maybe 3.5 years ago now,
Oh
and
wow.
the I didn't notice, but I had like I was kind of genetically more prone to getting clots, and they were very, very not strict on me taking blood thinner medication while I was in the boot and cast. So um, I ended up getting a blood clot, went back to the hospital and was like, "Can you check to see if I have a clot in my leg?" They were like, "Nah, you're grand." And 5 days later, I was in it had moved to my lung and was in Beaumont Hospital, like being told I could go into cardiac arrest at any moment.
Wow. So how long was this process like? I gotta ask. Like from into hospital to, realizing you're not gonna die, basically.
Um, got to hospital. They didn't think much of it. I was in kind of waiting room. They gave me some blood thinners just to be safe while I was there. And then it got to the stage where, because of obviously with the clot, it was in the lung, so I was just there was no oxygen getting to part of my back, so it was just constantly spasming. So there was no relaxation, no sleeping. I couldn't lie down for 5 days, so I was just in a chair, delirious. Um, and it kind of went from when they got the scan results. I didn't really know what was going on, like because it was during COVID, kind of
Yeah.
2022. So my parents weren't able to be with me. I'm being hooked up to all these monitors, and doctors telling me we need to have you monitored 24/7 because you could go into cardiac arrest at any moment. Um, if the clot doesn't pass, we might need to get a clot buster, which will send you into cardiac arrest. Like they're saying all this stuff to me on no sleep and on morphine, like to just deal with the pain. And oh, like it was, and I'm by myself, so I'm like, it was probably the worst 12 hours. And then eventually I managed to get some sleep the next day. And the, by the time I left the hospital, they were like, you'll be fine in a few months, health wise. Like, it was only 3 or 4 months on blood thinners, but like, it probably didn't help with the amount of pain I was in as well
Yeah.
and not sleeping, but it was scary. And then it's probably taken 3 years to recover from that.
I was
And
gonna
like
say
my lungs are still pretty bad.
yeah, no, it's like, well, obviously, to take the obvious, like, don't overexert. But again, like, it's great that you're feeling physically better, if that makes sense. Like, but I gotta ask, because you're a pretty chill dude, as most people are probably telling from listening to this. Like, you just described something that most people would basically, lose control of their lower body function, shall we say, their bowels, like that. Like, have you always been this relaxed, or what is it about you? You reckon it means because people find you very engaging online, like, and I think part of it is the lack of filter, but the other is it's not like you get that angry. You just chill about it.
You've not watched enough of my content.
Well, you get
I'm
angry,
known
but
for
like
losing my mind on camera.
when you
Again,
lose
it's
when you lose
like
it, it's not like lost in a sort of violent way, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's sort of
no,
it's
no.
it's human. It's a human losing their mind, like as in it sounds like a guy who a cup of tea will rectify it all.
I but no, I've for better or for worse, when it comes to all the stuff online, it was always just kind of the with life was like kind of need to do the next thing. Like I
Yeah,
played like if I had a bad basketball game on a Saturday, the following day, like I would have played hurling at a high enough level, like would have been on like Dublin College's teams, would have been thereabouts making a minor team, but would have had a game for Navina the next day. And if that went wrong, was playing a goal for St. Aidan's when we had three or four Dublin senior hurlers, guys that ended up being there. So it was like, okay, I gotta go play that, and then we got another game. So it's like it's hard. Like it's one of those things where it's like I kind of have been so busy my entire life that it's like I can't let myself get too bogged down on one thing because something else coming up. And it's just like on videos on YouTube. Okay, videos do badly on one day. Okay, I've got to make five videos and work and do all this the next day. So it's kind of and probably to the detriment as well. Like I think I was supposed to have taken 4 months off for the blood clot, and I took 48 hours off. Um,
I'm
so it's
giving him an Irish mammy head shake here, folks, because you can't see this, but like, but at the same time, I am totally the person who cannot cast a stone here, because yeah, I don't take enough time off after stuff where I hurt myself either. So I'm in no position to judge here, just to be clear. But I gotta ask it because that's a lot of content, just in general. Like, because it's one of the things, and again, I feel there is more respect for the content creators now than there was when I started covering the likes of yourself. I think I first wrote heavily about content creators back in 14, I'm gonna say. So like 11 years ago. And people just said, oh, it's a hobby that you happen to make money off. It's like, no, like you're 5 videos a day, which means you're recording, you're working out what you're gonna do in the video, you gotta produce it, you gotta get it out there. Like, it sounds like a serious slog.
yeah, I mean the hours. Look, it's a lot of hours, but I enjoy it. Like I'd rather work 12-hour days. Like it's like some days is not as bad as others. Like I finished working yesterday at 5:30 and rolled out of bed getting to this 7 hours later.
We
And
do well.
then as
I do appreciate that, by the way, because I know, like, sort of, it was a big ask with the way your clock is these days.
yeah, and it's realistically like I'm gonna go and um I'm then as soon as this finishes, I'm probably gonna record for about 3 or 4 hours, and then I think 2K News might be coming out today, so I could be recording for 2 hours, live for 3 hours, recording for an hour, then preseason, just standing in preseason up in Malahide. So that's an hour and a half, and don't have a car at the minute, so that's an hour and a half on a bus, and get
Oof,
home
yeah.
and then work again for another 2 hours and get to sleep, but roll into bed at 1 a.m. and wake up and do the same tomorrow.
I don't think it's like, it's like I know, but I think it's great that we're seeing people more appreciative of the grind you've got to put in to do what you do. I think there is a greater appreciation of that now than when I started off, where I had to explain to people like, no, listen, the amount of work that goes into this is phenomenal. Like, and in fairness, on the journalist side, there was largely a lot of respect because I remember my old buddy Adrian Weckler would always say, like, people don't
Oh,
understand how much work these guys are doing.
you know, Adrian,
Oh yeah,
I
Adrian's how
used
he got.
I used to play
To
tennis
be,
with him.
oh no, Adrian's like, I love Adrian, man. So he's like, for those who don't know, he's Ireland's biggest technology journalist, and I've been a technology journalist like 20 years. And like Adrian's the reason I became a technology journalist. Like, he got me into it. So I know I only have the loveliest things to say about him, man.
That's mad. I used to play tennis with him when I was like up to maybe 15, 16. We used to play in the same tennis club.
That is, Ireland is tiny, folks. Ireland is tiny. But yeah, no, but like Adrian would be the first guy to be saying the workloads you all have, like back in the day when, you all were getting criticized. Which leads me to sort of the last big one I want to ask you. So somebody is considering, getting more active at content creating, not necessarily thinking I can make a job out of this, but I want to get better. What advice would you give them? Like, it's like, again, like this isn't necessarily somebody who wants to be you, because I think that's a silly thing to, try and make an analogy of, but someone who's out there, they got an interest. It could be basketball, it could be walks in the park, it could be anything. They want to get better at content creation. Like, what would you tell them? Like,
Uh, if you're uh, if you're young, don't tell anyone about it when you start. Because the amount of kids that say, "Oh, I would have done this, but I didn't want what other people would say about it," because everyone's bad when they start making videos, and everyone that I've seen start and succeed has just started it, not made anything of it, and has done okay. Everyone that I know that doesn't have some sort of background in media, obviously, but anyone that I know that has made a big deal about creating content amongst their friends has flamed out miserably because everyone's bad at making videos to start.
mm,
And it gets to the stage where look, especially if you're in Ireland, Ireland's a great place, but it's a bad place for things like that. If you're out there putting out terrible videos, every single person, and people know about every single person, or you're making a big deal about every single person you know about it, or you know is going to be talking about them. But that's so it like as bad as it is to say, it's reality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and the amount of people that come to me being like, "Oh, I want to start, but I kind of don't want to do it while I'm in school, just in case people like kind of think me different." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, no face cam. If you want to do game and stuff, you can do no face cam. You can do breakdowns. You don't have to like you don't even have to have your own voice anymore. You can there's either good enough text to speech if you're good enough at editing, um, you can talk in the microphone. Yeah, can you use a voice? There are good voice changers that don't even sound like robots anymore. If you want to be fully anonymous, but when it comes to content creation, like I think one of the biggest problems is I think a lot of people starting out are looking for how to succeed at content creation before they even know whether or not they like making content.
Yeah.
So most of the biggest YouTubers had a couple of years where they were just making content for no viewers, where they realize what works, what doesn't work, what type of content creator they are, where they learned how to be more comfortable in front of a camera. They learned how to enter, whether it be three people. Like if you can entertain three people, you can entertain 300,000 people. It's just a matter of getting yourself into the right positions, whether it be the right content, the right ideas, the right time, and a lot of luck. But yeah, it's one of those things when it comes to content creators that I do feel like so many people now because look, if you're big, there's very good money in there. There's very good money to be made where people are looking at how to succeed and how to get to that point. When the getting from, if you can get from like 0 to 1,000 subscribers naturally, you can get from 1,000 to 100,000.
Yeah.
Like if you can gain 1,000 subscribers, you can gain 100,000, you can gain a million. It just depends on the type of content you're making and how big the audience is and how good your content is compared to the competition. But that's always what I feel like. Like my first 1,000 subscribers was I tried more things and I was more creative for my first 1,000 subscribers than I was from 1,000 to 300,000.
Cool. Seriously, yeah. So that because I'm just like sort of speechless, like yeah, that's kind of one of those perfect answers, no notes in terms of descriptions, Mick. So that leads me just to ask you to plug your pluggables before we go, because you have been a fantastic guest. But if people want to find the assorted stuff you have, tell them where to go, where to find you.
Yeah, so for if you want to watch old 2K stuff that used to be good, there's a channel called DBG. Um, kind of a pretty much dead channel from back in the relics of the 2K My Team community boom. And then right now I have a channel called Mick Talks Hoops, which is a WNBA focused channel, and that is kind of the main thing right now. And then there's another channel, Mick Hoops, which has about 10,000 subscribers. It's an NBA channel, and I've kind of made a pretty big financial commitment few in the last few weeks. So I will be spamming NBA videos. I'll be spamming WNBA videos, and who knows, I might be back with 2K videos trying to try and scrape some money together.
Well, one way or another, I know you're going to be reinventing yourself at some point. We might start seeing sort of, Mick does sort of, I don't know, was it, he becomes a 3x3 channel, maybe, who knows? Mick Curley of various channels, but all of them, of course, run by this wonderful young man from Dublin. Thanks so much for your time. As ever, folks, you can follow Ball in Europe. All our channels are Ball in Europe across all the platforms, except for Instagram, where it's Ball in Europe.com, because someone registered Ball in Europe once, and we aren't even sure if it was one of my predecessors or what, but we can't access it. So it's Ball in Europe, on Instagram, Ball in Europe everywhere else. Mick Curley, thanks so much for joining us. This has been Barely Hoops, and we will be back with you very, very soon. Barely Hoops is a Ball in Europe production. Our theme music is Deep Feelings, licensed from Artlist.